Let's talk about Hurricane Lee. Currently a Category 4 storm churning in the Atlantic Ocean there. You see where it looks like it's going to go. Expected to continue strengthening today, as I understand it, but now packing some pretty destructive maximum sustained winds of 165 miles per hour. Weather experts say the storm likely reaching its peak intensity by this weekend and still expected to be dangerous in terms of where it could hit if it does. The southwestern Atlantic early next week is what they're looking at. But Betsy's here. You've been looking at this quite a bit. I thought it was so interesting. It went from a 4 to a 5 and back to a 4 while it was still in open water.
Fluctuations will happen constantly.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. Yesterday it started off as a Cat 1, barely a Cat 1, 80-mile-per-hour winds, and then by 11 p.m. we had a Cat 5, and it was just incredible. So we'll talk Lee in just a moment. We're going to focus on tonight, though, because I know a lot of folks are probably trying to get out the door to Friday night festivities. Temperatures are going to be in the low 60s. We do have a lot of clouds around. There's a bit of a damp feeling in the air. That is not going to be going away. But at the same time, we probably have a few little peaks of sun that have been popping out. A lot of the rumbly weather is off to the east of us, where there continue to be severe thunderstorm watches and warnings at this hour. But notice here over the Buckeye State and over Indiana, these scattered showers that have been bubbling up are just kind of real lazily going in a little bit of a circle off to the left here. That is an area of low pressure in the middle part of the atmosphere, and that is complicating our clearing. So it's been taking its sweet time. Here's our Doppler radar. There's all the thunderstorms out to the east, but notice here in northeast Ohio, we do have these scattered showers that are right along the lakeshore. Our winds are out of the north at the surface. However, when you go just above the surface, we go up to about 18,000 feet or so, that wind flow is off to the southwest. So what that ends up doing is creating a rolling effect. We get the moisture coming in off of the lake. We get the lifting that's taking place because we're warmer over the land. And then that southwest wind comes at it and starts to roll it. So we have this kind of continuous light sprinkly weather that is ongoing in the lakeshore counties. This doesn't happen very often, but when it does, I get excited because I discovered this the hard way with a Guardians, then the Indians game that was on the verge of being rained out because the rain just would not stop. It's a pretty unusual circumstance, and it's kind of peculiar to northeast Ohio. So a little bit of an explainer there for you. National Design Mart forecast, we're going to continue this as we head into the rest of the evening. Temperatures are going to hold here in the 60s. We'll get a little bit of clearing here and there once we get into the late night hours, but I think for the most part tomorrow morning we will start with a mix of clouds and sun. Temps in the 50s. We will have that mix of clouds and sun through the afternoon tomorrow too. I'm not going to say we are totally dry, but rain chances are few and far between, probably about a 10% rain chance. And then Sunday, we may actually have some rain that sneaks our way from the east. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Now let's talk Lee. This storm has just really been an interesting one to watch. It is a Category 4 storm as of the 5 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. The storm track continues to take it off to the west-northwest at a pretty slow pace. Anytime you take an intense storm like this and you slow it down, that really starts to get a little bit nerve-wracking because it can be influenced by other things. But as of right now, it looks like it holds at a 4 before degrading down to a 3. And it's an interesting thing to note here because we do have the setup that we have the very warm water that this storm will be feeding off of. Notice the waves here just to the west of Lee, 14 footers. That's just the beginning of that. But it is under the influence of some shear in the atmosphere and some dry air right now. That should help to hold the intensity at 4. So we're not expecting it to ramp up. And as far as East Coast goes, other than waves at this point, it's just a wait and see. Here's your Union Home Mortgage forecast. The spotty shower chances can't be ruled out for tomorrow, but Sunday it looks like isolated rain will be with us. We'll be in the mid-70s. Next week we'll be, of course, watching the East Coast, but right here at home we'll have shower and thunderstorm chances and temps in the 60s.